One of the easiest ways to effectively and successfully de-escalate a situation is to simply walk away, to not engage. But what happens if the other person you're trying to avoid is on your team and you can't avoid them? My name is John. I'm the founder and president of Gentle Response. My team and I travel the country conducting very dynamic, realistic conflict de-escalation training seminars. Hit that like and subscribe button before I get going here and forget. For more informational videos on how conflict de-escalation training knowledge and skills would have made a big difference in some of these situations we read about in social media and the media. So around June 15th, there was this big PGA Tour qualifying golf tournament. And these two golfers were on the same group, same team. And by the 7th hole, things had gotten to the point where golfer number 2 ended up assaulting golfer number 1. And now charges have been filed and the golfer got arrested. So what happened, from what I've read and what witnesses say, golfer number 1 started getting very frustrated because golfer number 2 and his caddy, who's his father, was not helping look for lost balls and stuff like that. And comments and all that began to fly back and forth, and witnesses said the father made comments like, "Hey, we're not here to look for your balls." And then both sides and teams began to accuse each other and make comments about whether they were even qualified to even be on the tour. I mean, it just deteriorated to the point where golfer number 2 ended up slugging and tackling golfer number 1 and holding him down until golfer number 1 said, "Uncle." Witness statements and so on and stuff I've read said that definitely the father was the one with the mouth and really just kind of escalated things. And so what conflict de-escalation lessons can we pull out of this? This is going to be tough because, again, normally if you can just walk away from a situation to avoid getting yourself frustrated, impatient, and offended, which would only increase the likelihood that you end up saying or doing something that escalates the situation. If you can't walk away from a situation like that, it's going to be tough. But what you can do, golfer number 1, is just accept that there are idiots like golfer number 2 who are in it for themselves and don't care. Yes, they're supposed to be competing against each other for the PGA Tour, and I understand it's a big deal. But a little bit of empathy and compassion and teamwork just to help each other, it wasn't a big deal that you help the guy find some balls or help mark balls and stuff like that. From what I've read and so on, this golfer and his dad just absolutely, just not team players, just rude and obnoxious, right? So once you accept that there are people like that, and you will encounter people like that, and unfortunately you may have to work with people like that, take a deep breath and let it go. You do what you got to do. You do what's right. And if you have to look for your lost ball, look for your lost ball. Don't allow yourself to get frustrated, impatient, and offended, because once you do that, you end up saying or doing things that could escalate it, because in this case, golfer number 1 who's getting upset began to snipe and make comments at golfer number 2 and his dad. And the dad apparently was the one who was responding back at first, and it just began to snowball from there and just completely go off the rails. Don't allow yourself to get frustrated, impatient. Take a deep breath and just focus on what you got to do. Win that PGA Tour in spite of them. Have that last laugh. Have that great best revenge, Number 2, if you are going to be working with other people, okay, it's kind of competitive. Y'all are trying to make it to the PGA Tour and all that. Really? Is it really that difficult, or is it that can't even find the words. Is it that much of an issue that you can't even help some fellow players and just show what a good sportsman you are? I don't know. Maybe I'm from a different cloth or whatever, but I have no problem being competitive, but at the same time, I can also assess the situation and help out. Just help out. Little things like marking balls and maybe take a few moments to look for a lost ball. For one thing, because the guy wasn't helping look for balls, they were tying up the other golfers coming up behind him because this guy was spending all this time looking for the balls. And so, of course, frustration and people were getting offended and all that. Very tricky situation when you're on the same team, same office, same room as someone who's just pissing you off, pushing your buttons, and you can't just walk away. You've really got to maintain that self-discipline. Take those long, deep, slow breaths. Get that oxygen into your blood, into your brain, because if you can get that oxygen into your brain, you can think under stress. And if you can think under stress, you're less likely to end up saying or doing something that could escalate the situation. Tough situation, but it's doable. Focus on what you have to do and just accept that there are idiots out there. Hit that like and subscribe button.